Bol. Jai Shri Shri Radha Madhav ki Jai. Padit Pavan Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Hare Krishna. I
Hare Krishna,
welcome
Prabhu.
each and
My
yes.
apologies. Could not start the recording a bit earlier. We
No
missed
problem.
your beautiful singing of Hare Krishna Mahamantra.
No
So,
problem. No
Paili,
problem, Prabhu.
many thanks, Prabhu, for coming over. I think this is the second or third time I think you are coming. I'm not very sure. But please come regularly on behalf of all the devotees here. It's a very, very humble and very determined request to you to please come regularly. And it's a request to all devotees कि आज आप इतना अच्छा so much nice concentration you should have for the class and so many questions you should ask that Prabhu should feel like coming very regularly here. So one of the most eloquent speakers of Damodar Desh and not just gifted in terms of physical ability but in terms of excellent in-depth philosophical knowledge. He is Haridasvarya Prabhu for all of us. Hmm. And his lectures, meaning he has that ability to hold the devotees and make them listen to him completely without any deviation for even a moment. Excellent devotee, always very good to interact with him. I am so happy, Prabhu, that you have come and graced this occasion. So request you to please enlighten us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Subal Prabhu, for telling all the qualities that I do not possess. The lecture will be English, correct?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. So, before I start, it's only the mercy of the senior devotees present in the yatra, and it is only the mercy of very eager souls who wants to listen to Srimad Bhagavatam with the likes of His Grace Subal Prabhu, who genuinely approach me every now and then to speak about Srimad Bhagavatam. But when I see the roster of devotees who are enriching us on this knowledge of Srimad Bhagavatam, I find myself as a very insignificant person to add value. But they say that when repeated requests are coming from Vaishnavas, one should see beyond and one should know that it is for one's own purification. So, only with that motive and with the motive to please the Vaishnavas who are assembled here and the Vaishnavas who might listen in the future, or the Vaishnavas who might have questions, for all those, I'm just humbly presenting this service of speaking on Srimad Bhagavatam. Otherwise, I have no qualification. But when a person is given this opportunity to speak by one's own merit, as Prabhu mentioned, by one's own ability, or one's own intelligence to read the Shastras, one is actually not able to speak anything. One cannot speak even a small bit of realization. Srimad Bhagavatam is like a Meru mountain. We don't know where the zenith is. We don't know where the middle part is. We don't know where the end of the mountain is. And the reader of Srimad Bhagavatam, like myself, we find like a small bee trying to hover around one small pollen which is growing on that Meru mountain. And by hovering on that, we think, oh, we have understood the mountain. So, definitely to speak about Srimad Bhagavatam, we need a lot of grace, we need a lot of blessings from the Vaishnavas, from the Acharyas, from Srila Prabhupada, who has poured his ecstatic symptoms into his purports. So, the translation and purport of Srila Prabhupada in each and every single page of Srimad Bhagavatam enables us to feel the ecstasies of what he is feeling. So it's only appropriate that before I speak, I take the blessings of Srila Prabhupada and the whole of Acharya Parampara And with Mangalacharan, we begin today's Srimad Bhagavatam class. So with that, we begin now. And those who know the Mangalacharan, they can recite it along with me. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yudapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Zagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dhinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin iti namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vatsadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanyeshwaram Hari Om Tat Sat. Prabhu, we can share the verses for today, 3.19, Vedabis. Yes. Thank you, Prabhu. So, today's verse, we are reading from Canto number 3, chapter number 1. And specifically, in that chapter, we are talking about questions by Vidura, such a great personality. And from there, we are going to read from 3.1.9. So I'll read the shloka, a translation, and the purport. Some of the purports are small, some of them are a little bigger, but we'll try to cover each and every one of them. Yada cha partha prahitas sabhayam jagadgururyani jagada Krishna Natani pumsham amrityaya nani rajo rumene shatapunyalesha. Translation. Lord Krishna was sent by Arjuna into the assembly as the spiritual master of the whole world. And although his words were heard by some like Bhishma as pure nectar, it was not so for others, who were completely bereft of the last farthing of pious works. The king, Dhritarashtra or Duryodhana, did not take the words of Lord Krishna very seriously. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Quote, Lord Krishna, who is the spiritual master of the entire universe, accepted the duty of a messenger and deputed by Arjuna went to the assembly of King Dhritarashtra on a peace mission. King Krishna is everyone's Lord, yet because he is the transcendental friend of Arjuna, he gladly accepted the role of messenger, exactly like an ordinary friend.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu?
Sorry?
Sorry, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Prabhu, if you are okay, the devotees would like to read the purport and translation.
Sure. Absolutely. Sure. Please
Thank
go
you
ahead.
so much. Sushil Prabhu, Rao Prabhu, would you like to read?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Lord Krishna, who is the spiritual master of the entire universe, accepted the duty of a messenger and deputed by Arjun, went to the assembly of King Dhritarashtra on a peace mission. Krishna is everyone's Lord, and yet, because he was the transcendental friend of Arjuna, he gladly accepted the role of a messenger, exactly like an ordinary friend. That is the beauty of the Lord's behavior with his pure devotees. He reached the assembly and spoke about peace, and the message was relished by Bhishma and other great leaders because it was spoken by the Lord himself. But due to the exhaustion of the pious results of their past deeds, Duryodhan or his father Dhritarashtra did not take the message very seriously. That is the way of persons who have no credit of pious deeds. By past pious deeds, one may become the king of a country, but because the results of the pious acts of Duryodhan and company were dwindling, it became evident from their actions that they were sure to lose the kingdom to the Pandavas. The message of Godhead is always like nectar to the devotees, but it is just the opposite to the non devotees. Sugar candy is always sweet to a healthy man, but it tastes very bitter to persons suffering from jaundice. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Thank you so much. So this is a very nice purport and a very nice translation. Of course, every word of Srila Prabhupada is golden and nectarian. So here, Parikshit Maharaj has asked this question to Sukdev Goswami, that what was the conversation between Vidura and Maitreya? And simultaneously he's asking, what was the conversation between Vidura and Dhritarashtra? How did Vidura leave the kingdom? Where did he go? How did he got this supreme knowledge? Where did he receive this knowledge? So all these questions are inherent in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And Parikshit Maharaj is going to listen about all of this from Sukdev Goswami. And Sukdev Goswami mentions very importantly, he says that now I will narrate to you all of this. Please listen very attentively. And that is the qualification that one should have while listening to Srimad Bhagavatam. When we are hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, the only thing we need is 2 ears and a rapt attention. Srila Prabhupada mentions about this in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. The qualification for a devotee to progress in devotional life is to give rapt attention to Srimad Bhagavatam's message. And many times in the Srimad Bhagavatam, we do see that Sukdev Goswami mentions about this point again and again, that Parikshit Maharaj, please listen attentively. 7 days and 7 nights, and Parikshit Maharaj, he did listen attentively. And the narration begins talking about Vidura. Who is Vidura? What is his position? So we'll first know contextually and historically. Of course, this own purports, when it's coming up in the future, will mention who Vidura is and what are his origin. But we should know the past life of Vidura as well. So the past life of Vidura, we all know he was Yamraj. And once he mistakenly punished Mundaka Muni. And Mundaka Muni, he gave a curse that you will be born amongst the Dasis. He used to conquer various different places. And through that, he used to also get a lot of princes. And he used to also get the maid servants. And sometimes due to close relationship with the maid servants, the king used to get some sons out of those maid servants also. So they were used to called as Dasi Putras. Srila Prabhupada mentions in one of the verses. So these Dasi Putras, they don't have a claim towards the royal throne, but they get all accommodations paid, all things which are paid on behalf of the king. So they used to have a very royal lifestyle, but they don't have a claim to the throne. Only sons born through legitimate queen, they have the ascension towards the throne. So Vidura was born as a Dasi Putra. He was actually Yamraj. And Yamraj's position is very great. He knows what is right, what is wrong. He knows the moral compass very clearly. And he knows Dharma. He knows Krishna. Yamraj is one of the Mahajanas. He knows that how things have to be nicely practiced. He follows in the footsteps of the Mahajanas and he knows who is Krishna. So here in this verse, Parikshit Maharaj is hearing from Shukdev Goswami that how Krishna was sent as a Pandava Dutha. Krishna is known as Pandava Dutha. Krishna is so merciful. He is ready to take any position for his own devotees. He is ready to become a friend. He is ready to become a Sarathi, a chariot driver. He is ready to become a messenger. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As mentioned in the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Brahma and many others go and pray to him and call him as the Adi Purusha. Govindam Adi Purusham. He is the first primeval Lord. He doesn't need to go and beg to anyone. The entire cosmic manifestation belongs to Krishna. What is the need for him to beg to anyone? But still, Krishna goes. Because this is his Bhakta Vatsala nature. This is the nature of Krishna. And he accepted the simple duty of a messenger as a peacekeeper and went to Dhritarashtra. He knew that Dhritarashtra will not listen. He was not only blind from physical ability, he was also blind spiritually. And whatever Krishna will speak, he knew that Duryodhan, the evil-minded son of Dhritarashtra, will not listen to it. Hence, it is very important for us to understand in every verse there are messages that Krishna would like to tell us in Srimad Bhagavatam. Same goes for Bhagavad Gita. This personality, Dhritarashtra, is very important. Why? Because that is the first word of Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhagavad Gita. The first word of Bhagavad Gita is Dhritarashtra Uvacha. So it starts with Dhrita. And what a beautiful word. And now you might be thinking Dhritarashtra, because every time the devotee reads this first verse, what is the first verse? Anybody knows the first verse of Bhagavad Gita? Very famous verse. Dhritarashtra Vacha. Anybody knows?
Yeah. Dharma kshetre kurukshetre samaveta yuyutsavaha mamakaha pandavascheva kima kurvata sanjaya.
Jai. Very wonderful, Prabhuji. This, everybody knows this shloka. Dhritarashtra Vacha. But what is the meaning of Dhritarashtra? Dhrita means one who is very attached. Attached to what? Rashtra. To his kingdom. Dhrita means one who is very, very attached, cannot give it up, to the one whom he wants to give the Rashtra, which is Duryodhan. So he is attached to his own son Duryodhan and he is also attached to the Rashtra. That's why he is called as Dhritarashtra. Very attached. And the first verse of Bhagavad Gita is so important that it is saying the name of the person, Dhritarashtra Uvacha. And what is the last word of the first shloka, Prabhu? Because you mentioned it. What is the last word of the first shloka of Bhagavad Gita?
Mamakaha.
Kima kurvata sanjaya.
Sanjaya. So
Sanjaya.
two personalities' names are given. First is Dhritarashtra, last is Sanjaya. Now it is a very great thought point. Why it is so? Bhagavad Gita itself starts like this. First word is Dhritarashtra. Who is the person who speaks at the end? The last verse of Bhagavad Gita is spoken by Sanjaya. Anybody knows the verse?
Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, Yatra Partho
Partho
Dhanutara,
Dhanutara,
Tatra
Tatra
Shri
Shri
Vijay
Vijay.
Prabhu Dhuvaditir Matirmana.
Very nice. So the first shloka also ends in this way. The whole Bhagavad Gita also ends in this way. Dhritarashtra it starts, Sanjaya it ends. The first verse also Dhritarashtra it starts, Sanjaya it ends. But Dhrita means one who is attached and one who is completely blind. What about Sanjaya? Is he blind? No, he has got spiritual vision. He is the one narrating everything. He was blessed by Vyasdev. So the whole Bhagavad Gita is telling us in the first shloka itself how to come from attachment to spiritual vision. How Arjuna was attached by leaving the battlefield and on his notions and how to leave it up and have a spiritual vision. So the first message of Bhagavad Gita which gives us is attitudinal difference, which was not there in Dhritarashtra. So to correct this attitude, Krishna went as a peace messenger. So with the two words that we actually hear in Bhagavad Gita, Dharma Kshetre, Kurukshetre, Samaveta Yutsavaha. But Dhritarashtra and Sanjay, these two personalities in the first verse tells us about the attitude. And in this verse also in Srimad Bhagavatam, we can get to see the attitude between Dhritarashtra and Vidura. And we will see the attitudinal difference. One attitude was, I don't want to leave the kingdom, whereas Vidura was ready to leave the kingdom for maintaining dharmic principles. So we see the attitudinal difference between the brothers. And the same was seen in their lineage. Duryodhana was not ready to listen to the message of Krishna, which was like pure nectar. But for Duryodhana, it was like poison. And Srila Prabhupada mentions here, like sugar candy. When you take sugar candy, it is naturally sweet for those who relish it. But if somebody is having jaundice, somebody is having envy in the heart, anger, lust, pride, greed, for them it is very, very bitter. So Duryodhana is suffering from enviousness. So for him, the message of the Lord is very bitter. So the first point we see is attitudinal difference. And in this verse, this attitudinal difference is very nicely mentioned in this verse. Bhishma liked it as nectar, but Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana did not like it. The first verse of Bhagavad Gita, hence it is very important. Dharma Kshetre, there is also an ethical battle there. Dharma, what is going to happen in the battlefield of Kurukshetra which will uphold Dharma, and he knows that his own sons are not upholding Dharma. So there is an ethical conflict there. Kurukshetra, there is a geographical context there. Kurukshetra is their homeland. It is like fighting at home and fighting away. It is homeland, but they know it is also dharmically inclined. So they are feeling that, okay, Kurus and Pandavas have assembled here, but what will happen in the place of Dharma, where my own son Duryodhan, who is not following Dharma, how will he win? So these are the questions which are running in Dhritarashtra's mind. There is one, attitudinal difference. There is number two, there is ethical conflict in his mind. And number three, there is a geographical conflict. It is going to happen in the Kuru bastion, in the Kurukshetra, but it is going to go to the Pandu's sons. And then there is a historical conflict. Samaveta Yutsava. It's not only a battle between both of them, it is a battle between the entire nations of who supports whom. So Krishna is coming as a peace messenger for the entire history. So Krishna's presence as a peace messenger is not only for Arjuna, it is for entire history to note that all these kings have assembled here and they are going to fight. Let me offer a proposition of peace. So that in the future, somebody will not say that Bhagavad Gita is a book of violence. No, but prelude to that, Krishna tried peace. So another message that Krishna wants to send very strongly by becoming a peace messenger is, and this is a very important equation. If we can write it down, we should write it down in our minds. Violence for peace is non-violence. Peace for violence. Peace for violence is actually violence. In other words, how do we understand this? Peace for non-violence, or say, when there is violent activities happening in the society, if we keep quiet, ultimately it will lead to a violent society. Then our peace is actually non-violence. Many people feel that taking a weapon is non-violence, keeping a weapon down and talking is peaceful methodology. That is not how the Shastras mentioned. The Shastras mention that when we remain quiet, when there is violence happening, suppose somebody is going in a train and a woman is being disturbed by antisocial elements And we remain quiet. We saying that we are peaceful people. We will not enter into fight. And because of that, woman is getting disturbed. Our act of peace is actually non-violence. On the other hand, there is a police in the same compartment and he raises a danda and he hits the antisocial elements to drive them away and rescue the woman. Then the violence, which is to hit the antisocial element, to maintain peace, which is the rescue of the woman, is actually non-violence. So Kshatriya used non-violence activities to maintain peace. And that is the war. But before that, Krishna also wanted to send a message that we tried all possible equations of peace. So in this way, Krishna is going as a peace messenger. And Krishna's activities are very wonderful. He is, of course, Adbhuta Karmana. We don't know how he acts. In fact, if you look at Krishna's life, one devotee poet has very wonderfully mentioned, it's all opposite to each other. In fact, Kamban, a great poet in the southern part of India, while describing Ramayana, and I think one other poet, he mentions about Krishna as well. And what is about Krishna he mentions? He says, if you look at Krishna's life, it is very quizzical. You will be quizzed. You will be thinking about what's happening. Why? He rescued an elephant, he killed an elephant. He rescued a monkey, he killed a monkey. He rescued a king, he killed a king. He rescued his aunt's son, he killed his aunt's son. Prabhuji, what are you talking about? Krishna, he rescued an elephant, killed an elephant. So which elephant did he rescue? Anybody? In the Srimad Bhagavatam, we know this.
Gajendra.
Gajendra. He killed an elephant. In Srimad Bhagavatam, he killed an elephant. Which elephant are we talking about?
Ashwatthama.
Ashwatthama was killed by Bhima. Which elephant did Krishna kill? Kuvalyapitha. Absolutely right. When he entered Mathura, he killed the elephant of Kamsa, Kuvalyapitha. Krishna and Balram. And they both carried the tusks and they entered Mathura as a victory sign, as a royal insignia. One side he has killed an elephant, one side he has protected an elephant. Second, he has killed a monkey, he has protected a monkey. Where is this? As Ramchandra,
Yeah, Bali.
He killed Vali and protected
Hanuman.
Sugriva. Right? One brother he killed, one brother he protected. The third is that one king he protected, one king he annihilated. Same brothers, Vibhishana he protected, who was also a king, and Ravana he annihilated. Very quizzical. But the last one is the most quizzical. He protected his one aunt's son, that is his nephew, and he killed one nephew. He protected a nephew, he killed a nephew. Krishna was cousin.
Shivpal he killed,
Yes.
protected
And Arjuna he protected.
Arjuna.
That Arjuna is sending him as a peace messenger. So, if somebody gave a speech and it is said, Krishna went as a peace messenger and Krishna was the cause to make others say fight. So if somebody looks at retinue of Krishna, my God, he's doing both. He's diplomatic. He's absolutely diplomatic ruler. He just plays diplomacy. This will be only understood by those who have evil eyes, like Duryodhana or Dhritarashtra. A devotee understands the real Krishna, why he is playing as a peace messenger. He is playing the role of Partha Sarathi. He is actually the charioteer of Arjuna. In the battlefield, my dear devotees, there is no left indicator and right indicator. You don't put Krishna go left, Krishna go right. No. Literally, the person who is standing on the chariot, the king, has to kick on the left shoulder of the charioteer as an instruction to go left. And one has to kick on the shoulder of the right of the charioteer to go right, because there is no space and time for somebody to communicate, and the war is, somebody is crying, somebody is bellowing, somebody's livers are coming out, somebody's gut is coming out, somebody is losing life. There is clanging of metal weapons, there is sound so much that you cannot rely on voice to communicate, to go left and right on the chariot, on the battlefield. Krishna was taking these kicks from Arjuna out of love. So when we say that Krishna became Partha Sarathi out of love, we're saying, let my devotee kick me, I don't care, but I will navigate. The horses, they saw Krishna with love. Every time we see Bhagavad Gita, we should appreciate those horses. And the Shastras mention how beautiful were their horses. The horses used to gallop when Krishna used to pull the girdle and he used to clank the whip and he used to pull the girdle, the horses used to gallop. And the horses, at sometimes they used to look behind with their beautiful eyes. They wanted to look at the lotus side. And when Krishna used to smile, looking at the horses, good boy, you are now galloping, the horses will feel so much enthusiasm that they will even fly on. It will be as if they are flying on the ground. And Krishna will be like, okay, control. Ecstatic symptoms. Even the horses felt. So this is the eyes to see Krishna. Everyone was relishing Krishna, but now he is standing as a pious peace messenger. And Vidura continues that Krishna was sent to Arjuna as a spiritual master of the whole world. And his message was pure nectar, but not everybody could hear it in that way. What happens next? Let's go to the next verse. Somebody can read?
We will read after reading the sloka, Prabhu.
Can I read the text, Prabhu?
Yes. Let's just read the shloka, and after that, Yado pahuto bhavanam pravishto mantraya prishta kila purvajena atahatan mantra drisham variyan yan mantrino vaidurikam vadanti. Please go ahead and read the translation. Anybody can read?
Hare Krishna. Hare
Yes.
Krishna. Translation. When Vidura was invited by his elder brother Dhritarashtra for consultation, he entered the house and gave instructions which were exactly to the point. His advice is well known, and instructions by Vidura are approved by expert ministers of state. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Somebody can read the purport, 2 lines.
Yes, Prabhuji. Political suggestions by Vidura are known as expert, just as in modern times, Pandit Chanakya is considered the authority in good counsel in both political and moral instructions. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So Vidura, as we mentioned about his birth, he was Yamaraj in his previous life. And he was a Dasi Putra. But Dhritarashtra was very attached to Vidura. So Vidura was V for Vidura. The first V stands for virtuousness. Virtuous. Vidura was very virtuous because he was known for his unwavering moral compass. He would always support what is right, dharmically correct. He will never sway for political reasons. He will not see that here, if I support Dhritarashtra, I will get extra money or extra material happiness. He will always be on the side of dharma. So one of the learnings that we learn from Vidura is virtuousness. And remembering that, let us remember he was Yamaraj. Who knows better what is right and what is not? Yamaraj is the one who punishes everyone for doing something wrong, for not doing something right. And now he has taken birth as Vidura. So doesn't he know? So first thing is, we should not forget our past. Our current situations might be very favorable. Krishna will test us. Though you are Yamaraj, now he is testing by putting him in an opposite camp and testing whether you will still love me, whether you will still follow me. Same thing can happen to us. Right now we might be in a very favorable situation serving Krishna in one yatra. Sometimes we might find ourselves in completely opposite situation. But the test for us is to always see whether we will love Krishna. And Vidura passed that test in flying colors because he was virtuous. When Dhritarashtra, his own brother, who was not that intelligent in spiritual matters, he supported Duryodhana to burn the Lakshagraha or the palace of wax. It was Vidura who sent a message and told them to dig a tunnel and escape. And he sent it in a very coded message format. He said that when the whole forest burns, it is only the rats and the moles who succeed because they take the shelter of the ground. So in this coded message, when Bhima got to know that everything is made of wax, everything is combustible, and Yudhishthira remembered these words from the great wise Vidura, the intelligent Vidura, and then they started to dig a tunnel, and through that tunnel, the Kunti and the 5 sons of Pandu, they escaped. The Pandavas escaped. But because of his unwavering moral compass and his dharmic inclination, Dhritarashtra used to take counsel. And every now and then, Dhritarashtra will be asked that Dhritarashtra would call Vidura and ask, please give me instructions on this matter. And Vidura will give instructions. And he will be very blunt, he will be very sharp, and he will say as honest as possible, this is what Dhritarashtra you asked, this is what you should do. Like Yamaraj, his punishments and his justice is sharp. He continued that practice. He used to be very unwavering, and he used to be determined, and he used to give the correct decision. But Dhritarashtra will never accept it. And Srila Prabhupada compares this to Chanakya Pandit. And Prabhupada used to quote so many Chanakya Pandit shlokas. Chanakya was also in a similar camp in the modern world. He used to be unwavering in his moral compass and dharmically and spiritually correct. So good counsel means how people look up to Chanakya. Like that, Dhritarashtra used to look up to Vidura because of his quality of none other than virtuous. Let us go to the next verse. Can somebody share? I think I lost the share. I think Rao Prabhu dropped up. Yes. Somebody can share the 11th verse. I will read the 11th verse. Ajata shatro pratiyachadayam titikshato durvishaham tavagha sahanujo yatra vrikrodaraihi swasan rushaya twamalam bhibheshi. One word comes here which is same as in Bhagavad Gita, first chapter. Whom are we talking about? Vrikodarai. Who is this?
Bhima.
Bhima. When they announce about the conchals, here it is mentioned. Vrikodarai. Very good. Okay, can somebody read the translation?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Translation by Prabhupada, Jai Shri Prabhupada. Vidura said, you must now return the legitimate share to Yudhishthira, who has no enemies and who has been forbearing through untold sufferings due to your offenses. He is waiting with his younger brothers, among whom is the revengeful Bhima, breathing heavily like a snake. Surely you are afraid of him. Hare Krishna.
Jai, what a bold statement by Vidura. Vidura is saying that you must now return the legitimate share of Yudhishthira. Imagine, Dhritarashtra is the king. His 100 sons are very much loving their father Dhritarashtra, and Dhritarashtra also loves them. And you have to speak against the whole kingdom, and you have to tell the king, you are a fool. you should give the legitimate share to Yudhishthira, not to your son. One has to be bold, one has to be intelligent, and one has to be wise and insightful in advising the king of the Kuru dynasty. So the second letter of Vidura is I, and that stands for his intelligence. Intelligence in the Shastras. What is Krishna trying to send a message through this verse? Krishna is trying to say that many times people will treat others negatively and they will be evil to them, like how Duryodhana is going to treat Vidura. But one has to understand that when somebody gives a very sharp or critique feedback against you for giving a good counsel, for example, Vidura is giving a good counsel to Dhritarashtra, but now Duryodhana is going to criticize him. Dhritarashtra is going to criticize him. Though it is a good counsel, it is a good instruction, sometimes people will be evil to you even though you have done necessarily good. At that time, we should understand that the personalities who are dishing out evil to us, even though we might be doing good counsel, or even though that devotee is doing good counsel, that the personality who is dishing out this evil is going towards a negative spiral. Why? By treating Vidura as a evil, Duryodhana is increasing the negativity within himself. What is the negativity that Duryodhana is increasing? He is leading to his own destruction by not taking good counsel. It can be catastrophic if we only see bad in others. Many times we do this mistake. We should ask this question to ourselves, are we dismissing problems by not agreeing to some people? Some people will walk up and say, Prabhuji, what you have done is wrong. Haridasvarya Das, what you said was wrong. What you did was wrong. Now this is a problem if I hear this thing. But we have to ask this question within ourselves. Haridas, this person came up to you and said, this is a problem, and gave a strong critical feedback. Now there is two options. One is ignore and walk ahead. Or second is to hate the person who came up to us and spoke. Or third is to listen to that person. We have these three options. But we have to ask this question again to us. Are we dismissing problems? Or are we dismissing the people who point out these problems? We should not dismiss people who point out problems. We should try to dismiss problems by using people and their feedback. And this is what Duryodhana did not do. Duryodhana dismissed Vidura because he pointed out problems in the dynasty. Whereas Duryodhana should have used Vidura to eliminate problems. He eliminated people who point out problems. This is a diplomat. Na rahega bhans, na bajegi bansuri. There will be no bamboo and hence there will be no flute. No, there has to be people. So he used to be so bold, intelligent. And how he became intelligent? Parikshit Maharaj is going to hear. Shukdev Goswami is going to say he became intelligent because he took shelter of Maitreya Muni. He heard from Maitreya. How that happened? So when he gave this instruction to Dhritarashtra that please give the kingdom to Yudhishthira. And why Yudhishthira? Because Duryodhana has all enemies. Yudhishthira has no enemies. He is Ajata Shatru. He has no enemies. And he is only serving the Bhagavatas, the devotees. And I like to take a small detour here. In Ayodhya Kand, in Ramayana, the first verse of Ayodhya Kand is very wonderful. And what is the first verse of Ayodhya Kand of Ramayana? It mentions about how Bharata and Shatrughna went to their maternal house, to Ashwapati, to Kaikeyi's father, who was in Afghanistan and the western part of Pakistan. So the verse says, Gachatam matrakulam bharatena tadanagaha shatrughno nitya shatrughno niti priti puraskritaha. There the mention of Shatrugna is mentioned. Shatrugno, Nitya Shatrugno. And Bharata is mentioned as Anagaha. Anagaha means one who has done no sin. Imagine, my dear devotees, Bharata has done no sin and he has done no fault of his, but still everybody blamed Bharata. And he took this burden upon himself and kept on his head, and hence this bhar is on his head, hence he is called as Bharata. A fault which was not committed by him and everybody accused him, he is keeping on his head, hence he is called as Bharata. And why is Shatrugna called as Shatrugna? Shatrugna, he always wins against his enemies. Who is Shatrugna's enemy? Whom did Shatrugna kill? Only one Asura he killed. Who is that Asura? If you go to Madhuvan and Vrindavan, you will see. Next to the Balram and the Varuni, and next to that there is a temple in Madhuvan, next to the Dhrutila. You will see this wonderful temple of killing of Lavanasura.
Lavanasur, correct.
Yes. Of this Lavanasur he killed in Mathura. And Lavanasur fell down. Lavan means salt. His whole body was salty. He was killed in Mathura and he fell down and he corrupted the entire Vrindavan waters, which is still salty today. This happened in Treta Yuga. In Dwapar Yuga, add to that salt, more salt was added. When Krishna departed and the gopis started crying out of separation, their tears added to the salt. इसलिए आज भी वृंदावन का पानी खारा है. It's salty because of the gopis' tears and Lavanasur. So Shatrugna killed only one enemy. Valmiki says no, he has no enemies. Why he has no enemies? Shatrugno Nitya Shatrugno, he says. Shatrugna every day had enemies. Oh, is he talking about Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Matsari? Everybody has. No, he's a divine personality. He's above all those. But still he had one enemy. Every day he used to battle with that enemy. What is that enemy? Ram Bhakti was the enemy of Shatrugna. Prabhuji, what are you saying? Devotion to Lord Rama is enemy of Shatrugna? In fact, devotion to Lord Ram is what we want. But Shatrugna says, this is my enemy. Why? Every time I want to serve a devotee, Bharata, who is engaged in serving Lord Ramchandra, Lord Rama's service comes in between. So I should serve a devotee or I should serve the Lord. First duty is to serve the devotee. So it's a double combo offer. When Bharata walks, Shatrugna says, I will serve you. Lakshmana is there to serve Lord Ramchandra. Bharata is there to serve Lord Ramchandra. Who will serve both of them? I am there to serve both of them. So this is the attitude of making no enemies by serving devotees. And Yudhishthira had this same mentality, Ajata Shatru. He served only devotees. So Shatrugno, Nitya Shatrugno, Niti Priti Puraskrataha. So Ram Bhakti was considered, Acharya is right in an Atishayokti. I mean, it is over the top mention. So in this way, Vidura is saying that please give away the kingdom. We move to the next verse. We'll read the verse. Partam stu devo Bhagavan Mukundo Gritvan Sakshiti Deva Tadeva Ashte Swapuryam Yadudeva Devo Vinirjita Sesha Nadeva Deva. Translation.
I'll read, Prabhu.
Yes.
Lord Krishna, the personality of the Godhead, has accepted the sons of Pritha as his kingsmen, and all the kings of the world are with Lord Krishna. He is present in his home with all his family members, the kings and the princes of Yadu dynasty, who have conquered an unlimited number of rulers, and he is their Lord. Vidura gave Dhritarashtra very good counsel regarding political alliance with the sons of Pritha, the Pandavas. The first thing he said that Lord Krishna was intimately related with them as their cousin. Because Lord Krishna is the supreme personality of the Godhead, he is worshipable by all Brahmins and demigods, who are the controllers of the universal affairs. Besides that, Lord Krishna and his family members, the royal order of the Yadu dynasty, were conquerors of all kings of the world. The Kshatriyas used to fight the kings of various dominions and kidnap their beautiful princes' daughters after conquering their relatives. This system was laudable because the Kshatriyas and the princesses would be married only on the basis of chivalry of the conquering Kshatriya. All the young princes of the Yadu dynasty married the daughters of other kings in this way by chivalrous force, and thus they were conquerors of all the kings of the world. Vidura wanted to impress upon his elder brother that fighting with the Pandavas was fraught with many dangers because they were supported by Lord Krishna, who had conquered even in his childhood demons like Kamsa and Jarasan and demigods like Brahma and Indra. Therefore, all universal power was behind the Pandavas. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. So Vidura being very detached, we saw V for virtuous, I for intelligence, D is now detached. He is very detached from the outcomes and he is saying what is right, he is saying it to Dhritarashtra. And he is very decisive in his decisions. He is saying, let's be very analytical, Dhritarashtra, even if you don't want to give away the kingdom, look at politically. Politically, who is the king of the entire universe? Lord Krishna and Balram. The Yadu dynasty is ruling over the entire cosmic manifestation. The entire kingdom, the entire Bharatvarsha, entire world have subjugated themselves under the Yadu dynasty. And whom are they favoring? They are favoring the Pandavas. So what is your might? There is absolutely no chance that you can win. And Krishna has lovingly accepted the sons of Pritha or Kunti as his own kinsmen. And even if he wants to start a support, he will get the entire support of all the kings. And right now, he is present in his home with all his family members in Dwarka. And what to speak about rulers, he has conquered unlimited amount of rulers. And hence, don't think that Krishna is only strong. Krishna is only strong when he has acclaimed such a big kingdom and he has got the support of so many kings. Krishna has killed such mighty kings even in his childhood. He has killed Bakasur. He has killed Aghasur. And he is very intelligent. I was speaking yesterday on Bakasur's killing in the Tirupavai Shlokas. And Andal mentions a very beautiful point. That Bakasur tried to swallow Krishna. And Krishna went up to the throat, at the end of the throat of Bakasur. And he created a lot of heat. And the heat started forming at the base of the throat, that Bakasur disgorged him, spat him out, because the heat was unbearable. Now the question comes, Krishna, when you entered the beak, you could have just broken the beak of Bakasur, split it into two, just like a child splits a Vitarna grass and throws it on the other side. Just like a blade of grass can be split by a child, like that you split Bakasura's beaks. You could have done that when you entered, but why did you go inside, went up to the throat here and generated heat and then came out? Then he tried to swallow you again, you broke his beaks. What is the cause of generating that heat? And Acharyas explain, it is more easier when you heat up things to tear it later. If you want to tear a paper which is thick, it is very difficult to tear 2-3 sheets of paper together. You heat it up a little bit and give it a try. It just tears in a second. Krishna is super intelligent. Oh, you mean to say Krishna needs to generate heat to kill? No, he can just think and Bakasura can die. But these are pastimes. And Vidura relishes these pastimes. And Srila Prabhupada relishes these pastimes. He says in his childhood he has killed kings like Kamsa, Jarasandha and many other demons. And he has defeated demigods. who are these chinter pinter people like Dhritarashtra and Duryodhan? Give the kingdom back. So Vidura is detached and he is also unbiased. VIDU. U is standing for unbiased. He used to give fair counsel without favoring any side. He did not see who is favorable, who is unfavorable. He is giving an unbiased, unmotivated decision to Dhritarashtra. He was not a sycophant, chaplusi, that he will always fan the ego of Dhritarashtra. And we will see that he is even ready to be unbiased, reprimanding Duryodhan. Let us go to the next verse. So let's read the next word. Saesha dosha purushadvidaste grihan pravishto yamapatyamatya pushnashi krishnad vimuko gatasris tyajasva asaivam kulakaushalaya. So let's read the translation.
I can read, Prabhuji. Translation. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. You are maintaining offense personified Duryodhana as your infallible son, but he is envious of Lord Krishna. And because you are thus maintaining a non-devotee of Krishna, you are devoid of all auspicious qualities. Relieve yourself of this ill fortune as soon as possible and do good to the whole family. Purport. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. A good son is called apatya, one who does not allow his father to fall down. The son can protect the father's soul when the father is dead by offering sacrifices to please the Supreme Lord, Vishnu. This system is still prevalent in India. After the death of his father, a son goes to offer sacrifices at the lotus feet of Vishnu at Gaya and thus delivers the father's soul if the father is fallen. But if the son is already an enemy of Vishnu, how in such an inimical mood can he offer sacrifice onto Lord Vishnu's lotus feet? Lord Krishna is directly the personality of Godhead. Vishnu and Duryodhan was inimical to him. He would therefore be unable to protect his father, Dhritarashtra, after his death. He himself was to fall down because of his faithlessness towards Vishnu. How then could he protect his father? Vidura advised Dhritarashtra to get rid of such an unworthy son as Duryodhan as soon as possible if he was at all anxious to see the good of his family. According to the moral instructions of Chanakya Pandit, what is the use of a son who is neither a learned man nor a devotee of the Lord? If a son is not a devotee of the Supreme Lord, he is just like blind eyes, a source of trouble. A physician may sometimes advise the extraction of such useless eyes from their sockets so that one can be relieved of the constant trouble. Duryodhan was exactly like blind, troubling eyes. He would be a source of great trouble to the family of Dhritarashtra, as foreseen by Vidura. Vidura therefore rightly advised his elder brother to get rid of this source of trouble. Dhritarashtra was wrong, maintaining such personified offense under the mistaken impression that Duryodhan was a good son, able to liberate his father. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Uday Prabhu. So wonderful. So he is continuing his argument. And he's continuing his argument in saying that by maintaining, this is called as the unbiased nature of VIDU, the unbiased nature of Vidura. He is unbiased, unflinchingly, he is giving his opinion that you are maintaining Duryodhan, and Duryodhan is standing there. And he's saying he's envious of Lord Krishna. And that is why this is not right. One should be friendly to Lord Krishna. And because you are maintaining such a non-devotee of Krishna, you have lost all good qualities. Your association with such a non-devotee is causing losing of all good qualities, Dhritarashtra. And I am your own brother. You are choosing the fatherly attraction over a brotherly attraction. And whereas you should be looking at things from a spiritual lens, and hence you have been blind, your decision making is blind, and your sons who are also called as apatya, they are also not, they are blind in dharmic rules and regulations. A son should protect a father by offering oblations, pinda, dan in Gaya once his father passes away. By doing this, the father also escapes from the cycle of birth and death and cycle of hell. But if the son is a living hell and he is not ready to do any activities which is going to rescue the father, in this lifetime itself, both of them are gloriously marching towards the hellish planets. No salik, no toll gate. Full free expressway. And Vidura is saying, your son is like this. Even if you die today, he will not offer you pindadan because he is not dharmically oriented. He is not spiritually knowledgeable. So what is the use? Better throw him out. You already extracted your eyes. Now your eyes, when you are thinking Duryodhana and your 100 sons are your eyes, throw them out. 99 sons. One was dharmic. Throw them out. This is not going to be useful. Don't be so attached to Duryodhana. And this is Vidura's instruction. Now, this is not to be taken very literally. My dear devotees, this is a very important point to note. What Vidura will do next is what we have to take. Do not just quote this purport of Srila Prabhupada and say, devotees and devotee families will have children. And sometimes some children will not take up to Krishna consciousness. So it doesn't mean that you take this particular verse of Srila Prabhupada and this purport and utilize that. Say, sometimes we leave the children itself because they are not Krishna consciousness. They are like Duryodhan. And let me not take care of them is not the correct way. What you should do, Vidura is going to showcase it to us as a marked example. Let's go to the next verse. Text number 14. Iti uchivam statra suyodhanena pravardhakopa spurita dharena asatkrita satsprihana yashila shatta sakharna nujasau bhalena. Translation.
You can read. Yes, sir. Proceed, Mata.
Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. While speaking thus, Vidura, whose personal character was esteemed by respectable persons, was insulted by Duryodhana, who was swollen with anger and whose lips were trembling. Duryodhana was in company with Karna, his younger brothers, and his maternal uncle Shakuni. Purport. It is said that giving good counsel to a foolish person causes the fool to be angry, just as feeding milk to a snake and only increases its venomous poison. Saint Vidura was so honorable that his character was looked up to by all respectable persons. But Duryodhana was so foolish that he dared to insult Vidura. This was due to his bad association with Shakuni, his maternal uncle, as well as with the friend Karna, who always encouraged Duryodhana in his nefarious acts. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you, Mataji. So Vidura, when he spoke in such unbiased, detached, virtuous and intelligent way, he was reprimanded, rebuked by Duryodhan. But he did not worry for it. Because he knew that foolish people do not like good counsel. Ravana was given good counsel. Sugriva was given good counsel. They all, Sugriva took good counsel from Tara and he appeared before Lakshmana and he accepted to help Lord Ramchandra. But Hanuman was sent as a messenger to Ravana. Ravana did not listen. Sita herself spoke to Ravana. Ravana did not listen. Vibhishana spoke to Ravana. Ravana did not listen. Kumbhakarna spoke to Ravana. Ravana did not listen. Mandodari spoke to Ravana. Ravana did not listen. Malyavan, his father-in-law, spoke to Ravana. Ravana did not listen. Rama himself spoke to Ravana. Said, you go today and come back tomorrow. Think about it if you still want to fight. He still did not listen and he met with death. So foolish people are like Ravana And Duryodhana, even though good counsel is given to them, they won't listen. It's like feeding milk to a snake, Srila Prabhupada writes. It only increases their poison. But saintly people are those who actually listen to good counsel. So Vidura here, R for Vidura, V-I-D-U-R. R stands for righteousness. He always stood for dharma and even against his own family. Whom he is speaking about is his own family. And he was the only one who spoke against Draupadi's Vastraharan. He was the only voice in the assembly. And he spoke boldly and he said, this is a grievous sin. You should stop this, Dhritarashtra. This is happening in your court. And at that time, there was a risk that he was offending so many powerful princes and even the king himself. And because of that, Krishna came to Vidura's house. That he knew that he was a loving devotee. So this is a very nice way to understand that Krishna is again opposites. As we said, he will protect an elephant, kill an elephant. He will protect a monkey, kill a monkey. He will protect an asura, he will kill an asura. He protected Prahlad, he killed Hiranyakashipu. And at the same time, he will say no to Duryodhana to eat in his house, and in the same palace he will choose Vidura's place and he will choose to eat there. So Krishna is opposites. Who can understand Krishna? But only the righteous like Vidura can understand Krishna. So in this way, Vidura also instructed, and now he was rebuked, reprimanded, and he was mentioned by Duryodhana, and he is going to speak the most harshest words. Let's hear the words of Duryodhana. Please, let's go ahead. Last two verses for the day. Kaena matro pajuhava jihvam dasya sutam yad bhalinaiva pushta tasmin prathipa prakritya asthe nirvasyatham asupurachavashana. And Duryodhana is actually speaking in anger. Translation. Can somebody read the translation?
Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Hare Krishna. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Who asked him to come here, his son of a kept mistress, who is so crooked that he spies in the interest of the enemy against those on whose support he has grown up. Toss him out of the palace immediately and leave him with only his breath. Purport. When getting married, the Kshatriya kings would take on several other youthful girls along with the married princess. These girls, attendants of the king, were known as dasis or attendant mistresses. By intimate association with the king, the dasis would get sons. Such sons were called dasiputras. They had no claim to a royal position, but they would get maintenance and other facilities just like princes. Vidura was the son of such a dasi, and he was thus not counted amongst the Kshatriyas. King Dhritarashtra was very affectionate toward his younger dasi putra brother Vidura, and Vidura was a great friend and philosophical advisor of Dhritarashtra. Duryodhana knew very well that Vidura was a great soul and well-wisher, but unfortunately he used strong words to hurt his innocent uncle. Duryodhana not only attacked Vidura's birth, but also called him an infidel because he seemed to support the cause of Yudhishthira, whom Duryodhana considered his enemy. He desired that Vidura be immediately put out of the palace and deprived of all his possessions. If possible, he would have lied him, caned until he was left with nothing but his breath. He charged that Vidura was a spy of Pandavas because he advised King Dhritarashtra in their favor. Such is the situation of palace life and the intricacies of diplomacy that even a faultless person like Vidura could be charged with something abominable and punished. Vidura was struck with wonder at such unexpected behavior from his nephew Duryodhana, and before anything actually happened, he decided to leave the palace for good. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. The last two verses, and this verse talks about Vidura's character when accusations are placed against him. So Vidura was completely accused by Duryodhana for calling something which was of no fault of his. What was his role? His role was of an advisor, and that is the last letter of Vidura. V for virtuous, I for intelligent, D for detached, U for unbiased, R for righteous, and A for advisor. He was playing the role of an advisor. And still he was rebuked, reprimanded. And he was falsely blamed. How would we react? We will roll up our sleeves. We'll put it on social media. We'll call a petition, change.org. Take out Duryodhana and Dhritarashtra. This would be our response. But what did Vidura do? He just left the palace. He just understood that the words coming out of Duryodhana may be Krishna's message. Let me leave the palace. Now a very big question comes. When the whole kingdom took sides, whether to fight with Pandavas or Kauravas, Vidura could have easily remembered this position of Duryodhana and how he reprimanded and insulted him. And Vidura could have, he's also, as king, he could have immediately gone to the side of the Pandavas. He was favorable of the Pandavas. But Vidura never left Dhritarashtra's side. So isn't it wrong that Vidura did not choose the Pandavas? No, he is an advisor. He is Yamaraj in his previous life. Vidura did not choose to go towards the Pandavas' side to fight because he knew that the time is not suitable now to instruct his brother. A time later will come when it will be suitable to advise my brother and he will listen. So as an advisor, as a good counselor, as a good role model in the society, if we are spiritual practitioners, sometimes when we say, people don't listen. And this is what I was saying, we should see this purport with the purport that we saw above about extricating the eyes if they are like sons and they are not listening. As parents, as leaders, as society leaders, sometimes we might good counsel to the society members and at times they won't listen. We should take the path Vidura have taken. We should internalize, we should go on a pilgrimage, we should ask the spiritual master, we should counsel with our seniors and come back with a positive hope and tell our children, members, society members, etc. All we need to do is keep an open door for any of these people who have neglected us today. Tomorrow, if they feel the need, they can walk in. And such is the duty of the parent. A parent might instruct a child and they might be listening to Krishna consciousness or not, but never close the gate of parenthood or never close the gate of family to those children. The very door, it is open, and when they face difficulties, they will come running back. Not to listen to Krishna consciousness, for that love and care. And my dear devotees, that love and care has changed many, many children who were not Krishna conscious right at the beginning. The only bond that they can come back is of that. And similarly, Vidura wanted to keep that brotherly bond awake, alive. So he said, I will not join the Pandavas in the side of war. I will go on a pilgrimage. And he sets out on a pilgrimage, meets Maitreya Muni, and then comes back to give good counsel to Dhritarashtra. Let's read the last verse for today. We're almost on time. Swayam dhanurdhvari nidhaya mayam bhratu puro marmaso taditopi saitham atyul bhanakarna bhaner gatha vyato yad urumanyanana. Translation. Subal Prabhu, you can read the translation.
Yes, Prabhu. Thus being pierced by arrows through his ears and afflicted to the core of his heart, Vidur placed his bow on the door and quit his brother's palace. He was not sorry, for he considered the acts of the external energy to be supreme. Purport by Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. A pure devotee of the Lord is never perturbed by an awkward position created by the external energy of the Lord. In Bhagavad Gita 3.27, it is stated, Prakruteh kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashah ahankara vimudhatma kartahamiti manyate. A conditioned soul is absorbed in material existence under the influence of different modes of external energy. Absorbed in the false ego, he thinks that he is doing everything by himself. The external energy of the Lord, the material nature, is fully under the control of the Supreme Lord, and the conditioned soul is fully under the grip of the external energy. Thus, therefore, the conditioned soul is fully under the control of the law of the Lord. But due to illusion only, he thinks himself independent in his activities. Duryodhan was acting under such influence of the external nature by which he would be vanquished at the ultimate end. He could not accept the sound advice of Vidur, but on the contrary, he insulted that great soul who was the well wisher of his whole family. Vidur could understand this because he was a pure devotee of the Lord. In spite of being very strongly insulted by Duryodhana's words, Vidur could see that Duryodhan, under the influence of Maya, the external energy, was making progress on the path toward his own ruination. He therefore considered the acts of the external energy to be supreme. Yet he also saw how the internal energy of the Lord helped him in that particular situation. A devotee is always in a renounced temperament because the worldly attractions can never satisfy him. Vidur was never attracted by the royal palace of his brother. He was always ready to leave the palace and devote himself completely to the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Now he got the opportunity by the grace of Duryodhan, and instead of being sorry at the strong words of insult, he thanked him from within because it gave him the chance to live alone in a holy place and fully engage in the devotional service of the Lord. The word Gata Vyathaha, without being sorry, is significant here because Vidur was relieved from the tribulations which trouble every man entangled in material activities. He therefore thought that there was no need to defend his brother with his bow because his brother was meant for ruination. Thus he left the palace before Duryodhan could act. Maya, the supreme energy of the Lord, acted here both internally and externally. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Thank you. And quickly we'll conclude here. Such a brilliant purport we won't get. Every single statement is so poignant with information. The most first information that Srila Prabhupada mentions here is as an advisor, he was completely aware of outside and inside. He was aware of the external energy of the Lord, and he was also aware of the internal energy of the Lord. When he was reprimanded and rebuked, he didn't see Duryodhan as an enemy. He saw that he is an instrument in Krishna's hands. And Srila Prabhupada writes, by the grace of Duryodhan. You will never use such a word. By the grace of Duryodhana. By the grace of Duryodhana's words. Instead of being sorry and strong words of insult, he thanked him. Thank you very much. So this should be attitude of one of the devotees, that those who reprimand us, rebuke us, we should have a thanking attitude. We should always have a thanking attitude. I remember His Holiness Loknath Maharaj mentioning once that he was sitting right at the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada at Radha Damodar temple in Vrindavan. And as Prabhupada was speaking, Loknath Maharaj was shaking his legs. And Prabhupada rebuked him. And sometimes he said, that was my first instruction. He said, stop shaking your legs. And Loknath Maharaj, while he was saying, he had tears in his eyes. He said, that's the most favorite instruction. My spiritual master chastised me. He gave me a hot sauce. But why? A father will rebuke a son only when he loves him. Not out of anger and enmity, because he wants a son to improve. A spiritual master rebukes a disciple only for the disciple to improve, because he loves. If we are able to see that love, if we are able to see that fine connection, we can transcend this material world and this Maya. And in this way, Vidura acted as a perfect advisor. He said, let me renounce my bow. Let me renounce my skills. There are some skills which are not going to act today because the person has taken a vow towards ruination. So he submitted his bow and he said that let me acquire new skills through Maitreya Muni. Let me start taking a walk towards all pilgrimages. For 35 years he did pilgrimages, and then he said, I'll come back. And when he came back, he came as an avaduta, very badly kept dress. And how he came back, what did he mention, what did he speak, did Dhritarashtra listen, did they actually understand the message, how did they receive Vidura, how did he meet Maitreya, how did he converse, what was the question which transformed Vidura's thought process, what was the question that he asked that Maitreya instructed, how he gained this wisdom, and how Dhritarashtra literally heard the message of Vidura and walked towards salvation. All this you have to wait for next week when the other speakers will speak about the subject matter. I thank you once again for giving me this opportunity to glorify Vidura, and I only pray unto his lotus feet that he was Yamaraj. And by glorifying him, sometimes the offenders, when they glorify the punishers, sometimes the punisher out of his mercy might leave. It is often said that those who are devotees of Krishna, Krishna holds the danda and has given a strong message. Damodar is holding the danda in the Damodar Leela. When mother is churning the rod, Damodar holds the Leela. And he's sending a message to Yamaraj. In Vrindavan, my devotees are under my care. I will punish them. Even you cannot punish them, Yamaraj. And by this pastime also, Krishna is saying, I can give you punishment, Yamaraj, because you are also under my jurisdiction. But nevertheless, Haridasvarya Das is still to become a devotee of Krishna in a nice way. But if you all Vaishnavas are merciful by your blessings, I can. But in the moment, if I feel that I am standing at the courtyards of Yamaraj, maybe he remembers this lecture and his glorification, and he excuses me out of the hell and keeps me at the lotus feet of Krishna. With that prayer, I would like to bring a conclusion to this lecture. Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much for this opportunity, Subal Prabhu, and apologies for not taking out time and speaking to this august audience. Yadatra skalitam kinchit vidhvam satpurayantu tat yadatra saushtubam kinchit tad guru revamenahi. If there were any mistakes, you are all avid listeners, please correct them. If you found something nice, all glories go to Srila Prabhupada and his transcendental purports, which are our beacon of understanding Srimad Bhagavatam, and all the acharyas and all of you who have been ably supporting this Bhagavatam lecture series. And none of them goes to me. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Any questions, comments, critiques, we can discuss for 15 minutes.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Wonderful lecture, like always. It's appreciating you is like ant appreciating an elephant for its size. So I can't do that enough. But many thanks for all your golden words. Any questions anybody has, please don't lose this opportunity. Anybody?
No, Prabhu, the excellent class. And I think tomorrow again, also Prabhu is speaking in that Regent School.
Am I? No, I don't think so.
No, that was last Sunday, Prabhu.
Last Sunday.
Acha, I have.
No
worries. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for your comments.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. We'd like to hear again from you. Please do come. Take out some time for us.
So, Prabhu, now you cannot say no, Prabhu. You have to come every time we call you.
Yes,
thank you so much.
We'll try.
Thank you
so much for all the readings and everything. Thank you very, very much.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
So clarity is there now about Viduraji. You have explained really, really, really enjoyable, and something went in our this mood of Mastishka. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Vaishnav Pranam Mantra before we end the class. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo
namo.
Ananta Koti Vaishnav. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Dandot Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you very